Hey, what's up? This is week 13 of me watching and discussing every fall 2023 anime. In this video I will be talking about every episode released between December 18th and December 24th. I'm super late with this video, it is currently January 9th as I am recording this. Things have been busy over Christmas and the New Year's, but I don't want to leave this series unfinished. So I am going to be finishing it even though none of this is relevant anymore. The winter 2024 season is already underway, but who cares about that, right? I hope all of you had some lovely holidays. I myself stuck with my old tradition of watching the Haruhi movie on Christmas Eve, and it was a cozy time. Anyway, I had a total of 10 episodes to watch in this week between December 18th and December 24th, but this will be the last proper week of the fall 2023 season. Most shows ended here and only a few are left after this. The next week will be the final one, as the rest of the remaining shows aired its last episode in that period. But yeah, let's get after it. Undead Unluck, Episode 12. This was another episode that was actually hype as shit. I think these new villains seem pretty cool and interesting, and even this new whining dude was honestly kind of endearing somehow. The fighting also felt engaging and fun on account of Fuko and Andy being there and still being a spectacular goddamn duo. Seeing Fuko just cut Undead dude's head off was just brilliant. This villain guy's ability seems to have some pretty convenient conditions if it indeed prevents any action that could heal the victims, no matter how indirect they may be. But I guess that's cool, the story needs to happen somehow, right? I'm still getting confused as shit by all of the language chaos that is going on. At one point, this scared guy's classmates speak English while he speaks Japanese, which is the expected outcome from that language unification thing. But then at a different time, this cool looking lady says she can't understand Japanese, even though she says that sentence in Japanese. And then Fuku speaks some imaginary language here at some point, and I'm just totally confused. I guess this tie solved everything though, so that's cool I guess. But what language are these new bad guys even supposed to be speaking? English? Chinese? I've got no idea. Also, this new guy is apparently Neo from The Matrix. That's kinda hype. Dope episode. This is one brand of action that I can certainly get behind. Action that is being carried by strong and charming characters that I actually give a shit for. I hope we'll be continuing along a similar course from here. "16-bit Sensation Another Layer", Episode 12. This was quite the eventful episode, but I personally feel that it was the weakest of this show so far. This series has gone in a pretty ambitious direction towards the end here, and this introduces certain challenges, many of which weren't sufficiently overcome in my opinion. Things went from being a cozy show about some cute girls passionately making some old school games to now being some dystopian drama where aliens are also involved somehow. Like, don't get me wrong, I do commend how grand the scope of this all is. It would likely have been easier for the staff to just play it safe and have the series end with the crew making another cool game and everyone being all happy. But either way, I thought this particular episode was very uneven, and I would probably have had a better experience with this former option. I do think some of the comments this show makes in regards to AI and all that do have some value, but they're being presented in such a heavy-handed way and to such exaggerated magnitudes that they become difficult to take seriously. Obviously, it's kinda awful if people are put into tubes just so that AI can feed on their creativity or whatever is going on here, but this would just never be legal in the real world unless it is explicitly agreed upon from both parties. This isn't really a problem with AI, it's more a problem with people. In the same way that guns aren't really what kill people, it's the people that use the guns who kill people. Even though I did feel that the overall plot here was a bit out of whack, Konoha and Mamoru still really elevate this experience by a great deal. I'm really fond of how these two characters are handled and written, and this shines through even in these crazy circumstances. This boss bad guy is the polar opposite, as he is just utterly generic and completely uninteresting. Almost every character in this show has had a decent amount of character to them so far, so this dude just feels incredibly out of place here. This generic impression is something that can be attributed to many things in this episode, including the overall premise. I mean, just look at these dudes. But then at the end, while we're at this big standoff, we're interrupted by a damn UFO crashing the party. Man, okay. Regardless of how this show ends, I've had such a good time with it up until this point that I don't think anything is going to meaningfully detract from that. Even in this episode here, Konoha and Mamoru continue to be some of the most endearing characters of any show in this entire fall 2023 season. I have considered 16-Bit Sensation to be my favorite show of this season, and that will likely remain the case even after the finale. I guess I better start mentally preparing for whatever wild shit is going to be happening in the next one. Maybe I should have some alcohol ready or something, maybe that would further elevate the experience. Dr. Stone, New World Part 2, Episode 11. Well then, here we are, the last episode of the season. I thought this was a decent little episode that wrapped up all of the ongoing plot points in an elegant way while also building hype for the next season. There were a few parts that I thought were a bit uneven, but all in all, this episode did everything it needed to. It's cool that Tsukasa is back, and I'm sure he will add a lot to the group dynamic going forward. How he was petrified and then revived confused me a bit, however. How is the petrification beam localized to such a specific area instead of a ball all of a sudden? Because it's running out of juice? It just kind of seems like all of these people's hands should also be getting caught up in this, but what do I know? Also, why is Senku in such a rush to pour the revival fluid on him? Have I missed some major detail somewhere? Anyway, he's back and it's all cool. But I did also feel that it was suddenly very lenient with all of the things he disagreed upon in the past. I do think it could hit pretty hard if Tsukasa and Senku would come to some sort of compromise or a truce, but no discussion was ever even needed, he's just suddenly okay with everything it seems. Kinda weird. Oh, and I had almost forgotten about how cute this lady is. Look at those adorable stone horn things, man. The gang also talk about how Senku didn't heal his wounds from Ibara with the stone device as he still had his cracks on his face. Apparently these cracks went away for everyone else when they were petrified, but not for Senku. This is kinda odd because the show seems to treat the situation as if Senku had never gotten petrified again, even though he did. Is it just that his petrification here wasn't fully complete or something? I don't know, seems kinda weird, man. Either way, the roadmap for the next goal seems hella hype to me, and I'm really excited to see what they make of it in the next season. It looks like the next one will actually be the last, which is a pretty bittersweet notion. Seeing that really made me realize how much I will likely miss this series once it's over. But yeah, traveling the world over to gather materials for a damn spaceship construction seems absolutely brilliant. I'm very eager to see this all play out. I thought this current New World season was among the weaker parts of this series so far, but this next one looks like it might be pretty damn fantastic. I'd certainly appreciate it if this show would go out on a proper high note. Farewell for now, Stone Dudes. I'll be eagerly awaiting the conclusion to this cool show. Under Ninja, Episode 12. Well, here we are, it's the last episode. So, have I figured out anything at all about what is actually going on yet? Not really. But even so, I've actually had a pretty decent time with this show. It's creative and unique enough to be interesting just on account of its core presentation, but I can definitely understand why many viewers would be instantly put off by it. We get even more of the usual nonsensical chaos in this episode, and I mean that in a good way. This cat is just blasting up these stairs on this bike after having come all this way in a hurry, only to forget what he was doing right at the end and dismiss this entire venture. Nice. Some dude goes up to this ion cannon thing and his computer sounds like a turret from Portal. Like it really does. I wonder if this is intentional or just a coincidence. Or maybe I've just got some weird confirmation bias going on here. Funny either way though.
Target lost. Are you still there?
I was pretty damn surprised to see our main dude actually lose this fight and die against Booger Lady, but even though he lost the fight, one could argue that he still won the war. Because he did in fact take the most important, most precious thing in the world to this poor Booger Lady before he perished. That's right, he took her nose. That's pretty metal. Anyway, the ion cannon blasts off again and the animation of this school crumbling is actually pretty dope. It looks cool, good work by the CG staff here. So things really tumbled into more chaos than usual in this episode. Main dude fucking died, Booger Lady lost her nose, cat dude forgot who he was. But at the very least, this funny girl survived, and surely that is all that truly matters. The show introduced a whole family of clones or brothers of our main dude at the very end here, likely to just give me one last mindfuck before curtain call. I respect that. But yeah, this was certainly a unique experience, and I'm glad I watched this. I likely didn't really get as much out of this show as some other viewers, since I barely ever understood what was actually going on. But you know, sometimes it's kinda cool to just be completely lost too. I don't mind it. Main dude was funny, drunk lady was funny, this normie girl was great, lots of cool voice acting too, and much of the comedy really landed on account of the very dry presentation. This show didn't try to draw attention to really anything at all, and even among all the crazy shit that happened, things still felt oddly natural and grounded thanks to the tasteful portrayal. It probably won't leave a long-lasting impression or anything like that, as it didn't really resonate too much emotionally with me. But I still really respect how this production just did its own thing while giving no shits at all about fitting into some popularity mode or conforming to mainstream standards. It wanted to be weird, and so it was. That's cool, man. I'll kind of miss seeing some of these characters every week. So long, Ninja Show. 経験するな君と経験せるの俺がお付き合いする話 or Kimizero, episode 12. Alright, so here we go with the last episode of Kimizero, and Emil will be joining me for one last time then. How is it going?
Okay.
I was thinking we can try to be a bit more quick this time, so this segment isn't like half of the video total length.
Yeah, that would be good.
But yeah, like, just in general, I thought this final episode was a pretty boring conclusion to the show. It was just this very plain, safe, completely inconsequential, very forgettable ending to the show.
Yeah.
Almost half of the episode was padded out with the side characters just doing random stuff that I didn't care about. I didn't really
and it
connect
kind of
with that at all.
Like it came out of nowhere.
And this whole thing that one of the side guys was suddenly thin just so this other Gary lady could be attracted to him was just completely fucking random and just obnoxious, because just a few episodes ago, or last episode, I don't remember, she totally rejected him for a bunch of reasons, and now she's very superficially invested in him. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and I think her reason was, like, I want to get to know people before.
Oh yeah, but now that he's more attractive, then that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Great. Fantastic. What the fuck? Whatever, who cares? And this other thing with the Demon Garu and the other guy was also just boring and annoying to watch. I didn't understand the point.
Yeah.
And this whole thing with that Runa wanted to get her parents together again, that's so fucking selfish, at least from my perspective, because I mean, her parents are people too. I mean, they should be allowed to hang out with who they want.
Yeah. And
why the fuck do you she treats them like they are props or something.
Yeah, and like I could understand if she was like 10 or something.
Yeah, I guess, like, if she doesn't
they're
really
high
have
schoolers, so I
yeah.
would assume they're like 16.
If for young people, maybe they haven't really grown out of this dependency on their parents. Like, they don't really treat their parents as people more so than their caretakers.
Yeah.
But that should not be the case with these characters here. So the fact that she was like super destroyed that her dad had another romantic interest, like, what the fuck? Who gives a shit? What the fuck does it matter?
And also, like, haven't these two people been divorced for a few years?
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know the semantics behind it, and I don't care. I just thought it was incredibly forced and stupid and obnoxious and very
childish,
annoying to watch.
Yeah.
Fucking stupid. But yeah, whatever. I mean, like, the core premise that this show was establishing at the start was that these two main characters was going to have a healthy relationship and, like, get to the sexy stuff in a good way and not in a, like, destructive, superficial way.
Yeah.
And I guess that sort of happened, but I thought the way the show concluded, that premise was incredibly uneventful and, like, there was no emphasis to it.
No.
But whatever, I guess. I liked the show at the start because I just thought it was charming to see these two people be cute together and do cute things. But the more the show went on for, the
then
more it threw obstacles in the way of that, and it was just my patience ran out real fast.
Yeah, it felt like they just like poured random romance tropes onto them just for drama.
Yeah. Sad times.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a shame that the show had to devolve from this fairly promising start it had in the beginning, in my opinion, just by throwing these stupid tropey drama bits in at every point, every turn they could, it seemed. But like even that aside, like when the later parts of the show where we did get this just innocent, cute atmosphere again, even then I thought it was a lot more like dull and uninteresting than it was at the start, and I don't really know why. I don't really remember exactly how the show was at the beginning of it, since it was 3 months by now.
Yeah, I think it just kind of like felt more forced. Everything kind of felt more forced.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty
while.
good way to like summarize it, because I don't definitely agree. Everything, including the innocent, cute bits, felt incredibly unnatural. Towards the later part of the show.
Like the first few episodes just felt like, oh, cozy stuff.
Yeah.
And then I don't even remember what the first thing they threw at us was.
That was when the other sister came and was interested in Jude or whatever. I think that was when things started to kind of derail and get shit. But
it's kind of a hard thing to recover from. And I don't think
it would have to be because, like, let's say that happened and that was annoying for 2 or 3 episodes, and then the show was fun again. But like that wasn't the case. When the show went shit, it just stayed shit, and I was just, every episode just made me more annoyed at everything that was going on. So yeah, it's a bummer that it had to go that way, because like I like these kind of cute, innocent kind of rom-com shows. Like this is totally up my alley. But I hate forced drama for the sake of drama. Like, I can't stand it.
No.
Like, I can appreciate it if it is handled well, I guess. But like, it's a double-edged sword, because it can harm the work just as much as it can bring to it if you don't do it in a tasteful way.
Yeah,
and like, this show was everything but tasteful in the way it executed much of the drama.
Yeah, I feel like the difference is when it feels like it's drama for the sake of drama, or when...
Yeah, sure, like if it feels like this is something that could actually happen, like it's a believable circumstance, then fine. But that was never the case. It always felt like, oh, the writers felt that they had to add more drama. Like it always felt incredibly arbitrary. And like it made no sense, and everyone was just fucking stupid, and like nobody behaved as you would expect.
No,
so
and
yeah, it was just a mess.
It was like everything kind of felt like we don't take in consideration who these characters are.
Yeah,
we just want these things to happen, and they have to...
But whatever, I don't think I regret watching it to the end.
No.
It was still like thematically it was a very good fit for me, even though I really didn't like how they did many of the things. But yeah, I'm just happy we have a more fun romance show in the next season, in the winter season. I'm really looking forward to more of the Bokura show. It's very nice. It's like a much better version of this in every way. So that's gonna be
it's just cozy.
Yeah, but it feels pretty relieving to be rid of this show.
Yeah.
And not have to be annoyed every week anymore going forward.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's about it. Thanks for joining me for these episodes.
It's been fun.
Bye.
Bye.
Sousou no Frieren, Episode 16. This is the first episode of this series where I have felt my attention kind of drift away a bit. The events here felt pretty inconsequential and didn't add much to the progress of the story or the characters. It was still a decent time on account of the strength and chemistry of our main party, but it almost felt like the show was stalling for time at many points here. It's been a fair few episodes since I felt like we made any meaningful progress towards the end goal of reaching this heaven place, and I think I'd appreciate being thrown a bone or something to remind me of where things are actually going. Some big changes have been thrown into the mix here and there, like the addition of Stark and Sign, but many other episodes have kind of just drifted along. The first half here with this old geezer felt very forgettable to me, and it didn't seem like there was much of a story to tell here. I'm assuming the overall theme of this episode is about being remembered, but this didn't really end up resonating with me, even though it is a topic with plenty of potential. The second half of the episode was stronger in my opinion, as it at least gave some additional context to Sign's relationship with this lost friend of his. I still think it spends too much time on communicating very little, however, so this part also felt a bit too sparse to me. Apparently, the trail for this gorilla dude, kinda awkward name by the way, goes in the opposite direction from where Frieren and the crew are going, as illustrated by this incredibly pixelated map. Did they upscale a 240p image for this? What is going on? Anyway, this was still a decent episode, mostly on account of the inherent strengths of the cast. But I would appreciate it if it would make some meaningful progress towards the end goal at some point, or if some impactful character development would occur to avoid things becoming so stagnant. Hikikomari Kyuuketsuki no Monmon. Episode 11. Well, we're back to the action-oriented aspect of this show, and they're even throwing in some pretty awkward drama here and there. There's a bunch of moments where characters scream and cry and insist that they all shouldn't give up or whatever, and it's just pretty damn flat and hollow. We get another brief scene with Yuki Aoi's character here, which is kinda cool I guess. The way Hikikomari only cares for the food here while the others talk about the war and stuff was also not bad. But all in all, this was a dull episode. I'm really tired of the edgy nature that this series seems to be so obsessed with when it comes to its drama and action. This new villain dude is now the prime offender and it's just embarrassing to watch. He's just this generic evil dude whose only character trait is that he is violent and wants to kill people. There's some big betrayal thing going on later in the episode, and this also just doesn't work. These moments feel like they're a parody of other shows with similar story beats, yet they take themselves completely seriously. As this fight here plays out though, there's another one of these Yuki Kajiura-esque tracks playing, and it's actually kinda cool. Anyway, the main characters all get beat, and then Hikikomari and this new girl share a hot blood-sucking moment together that fixes everything, I guess. I can still dig some of the humor in this series, and Hikikomari's character design is just brilliant, so a big part of me really wants to like this show. But throwing in edgy action and vapid drama is one surefire way to get me to lose interest. But it's just one more episode to go now, and that feels quite nice to me. I want to mention that this ED is an absolute banger, by the way. I spoke of this a bit when talking about the first or second episode, but it's grown on me even more since then. The full-size version is so damn great, especially the vocals and the synth do some amazing things. Super cool song and easily the best thing to come out of this entire show. I'd consider it to be among the best OP and ED themes of this whole fall season. Spy Family, Season 2, Episode 12. This is the last episode of the season, right? Huh. Yeah, it sure is. Strange, the events of the episode sure don't make it feel like it. I am guessing we're going to be getting a Season 2 Part 2 in the near future, but still. This was another episode that I wasn't particularly fond of. It seems like this is becoming a recurring theme. I once again felt that the episode was incredibly sparse on substance, and even the core premise here seems completely irrelevant. It isn't building upon anything in terms of the narrative, and I'd call it a stretch to say it builds upon the characters. We just get to see Lloyd and the dog do various things of no importance, and I didn't find any of it to be interesting. In a way, I suppose this is an excellent way to wrap this season up, as this episode encapsulates what this entire season has been like. Just a ton of vapid nothingness that accomplishes almost nothing in the long-term narrative and very little in the way of short-term engagement. I'd easily consider this to be the worst season or part of this series so far, as it is by far the most egregious in this regard. I'm actually quite impressed by myself for somehow managing to find something to say about all of these 12 episodes. It certainly wasn't an easy task considering just how little meat there were on these bones. I had a decent enough time with this series back at the first season, but that interest has been drastically diminishing as this new season has been going on. Maybe I should just leave this show here and cut my losses at this point. I might check out at least the first few episodes of the next season though and see where things are heading. But for now, I'm just glad to be rid of this burden. It feels pretty great to not have to dread these episodes coming out every week starting now. Kusuriya no Hitorigoto, Episode 12. I certainly wasn't expecting that this show was suddenly going to so meaningfully change the core premise. For Mau to be let go from the palace was pretty wild, but I guess it wasn't really all that impactful considering the fact that this was changed back by the end of this same episode. Either way though, I thought it was a bold development, albeit temporary. Mau yet again continues to be incredibly relatable for me here. Misunderstandings happen because she very carefully navigates around matters when talking to Jinchi about leaving, and this roundabout manner of communicating left him unable to understand what she actually wanted. I do this same thing basically all the time when I'm talking to people who I am not on very casual and friendly terms with. Rather than explicitly saying what I want for myself, I try to just mildly hint at it while expressing understanding for the context and the position of the other party. Mau once again dresses up and becomes extra adorable and naturally runs into Jinchi and the crew while doing some job for her brothel place. I'm not really sure how she didn't immediately recognize him here, but what do I know, I guess. Jinchi is being more forward than ever in this episode, and I'm once again left wondering what his deal actually is. I guess he is romantically invested in Mau. The way these scenes play out have a weird kind of clumsy and awkward energy to them. We also get another kind of strange montage thing with some music as a bunch of footage from earlier episodes is playing. I'm guessing this is meant to sort of remind or summarize the first half of the show, as this episode indeed marks the halfway point. It didn't really click with me though, the implementation felt pretty strange and unnatural to me. But anyway, Jinchi shows up again and buys Mau straight up it seems, so I'm guessing the show is more or less going back to the way it was in the next episode. Maybe with some more relationship undertones with Jinchi, which is something I'm not too sure if I'm all that interested in. But I guess I'll find out. Bokura no Ameiro Protocol, Episode 12. This is it. This is the last episode of this agonizing series. It's done. God damn man, this sure has been an excruciating ride, and this episode was by no means any exception. It pushes all of the same annoying plot points of the rest of the series right up in your face, but at the very least we got some more goofy gaming shit in this episode and it's more confusing than it's ever been. A part of me would love to point out every weird thing that happens in this match, but I just can't be bothered. I just want to be done with this show. But things just don't make basic sense. A map design shouldn't allow for the kind of shit that happens here. People once again somehow manage to get flanked at a moment's notice as if the enemy team is using some speed hack or some shit. The pro tag team just fucking rushes through smoke at one point. At another point the main bad guy says that it's quicker to just kill all the enemies than to defuse the bomb, but surely they would need to do both. At least in Counter-Strike you don't win the round as CTs unless you defuse the planted bomb, even if you kill all of the Ts. What the fuck, man? Whatever, I just don't care. The pro tag team win by some random magic and then everything wraps up into some generic happy ending. Good for them, I'm out of here. This show was ugly, agonizingly tasteless, cringeworthy and all around boring. I still do appreciate some of the PC gaming related nods we had at the start, but I never should have watched this past the first few episodes. But the freedom that I am feeling right now in this moment is truly quite sublime. It's like I've been stuck in a cave deep underground for the past few months, crawling around in narrow crevices not knowing the way back up, only to now finally see the light again and emerge from this harrowing experience alive. Goodbye forever, Ameiro Protocol. And that is everything for now. This season is basically all done. We have 2 stragglers to take care of in the next weekly video, and they are 16-bit Sensation and Hikikomari. Undead Unluck also aired an episode in that same week, so we'll have a total of just 3 shows to talk about in that video. Frieren and Kusuriya took a 1-week break in between the shift from the fall to the winter season, so those two are officially out of the picture for these videos. It is quite the blessing to be rid of some of the crappy shows that I have been putting myself through this season. The fact that Ameiro Protocol is finally over is such a relief. But it was bittersweet to reach the end of Dr. Stone, and even more so to learn that the next season of it will be the last. I had a somewhat bumpy ride with this season of Dr. Stone, but I do still very much enjoy the series overall. My 3 favorites for fall 2023 are still 16-bit Sensation, Kusuriya no Hitorigoto and Sousou no Frieren. 16-bit Sensation has only 1 episode to go, and the other 2 will continue into the winter season, which is pretty hype. But that's all I've got for now. There's just 1 more of these videos to go. I can't believe it's been 3 months already. Thanks for watching my stuff. I hope you have a cool day, and see you next week perhaps.